show. I'm joined by one of the most special people in my I'd say social media world, and we've actually had a chance to speak a few times. And I'm going to tell on myself. Gail and I actually met last week. We had an amazing conversation. I neglected to hit the record button, and so we decided to do it again. So, Gail, you are the podcaster who does the Empowering Process podcast. I believe that from every conversation I have from you, you're very much about energy, vibration, manifestation, visualization, and some things how in ways that we can break free from some of the programming so we can live a more joy-filled life. So tell me a little bit about, what got you to this place and where are you going from here?
What got me to this place? I've been pulled to this place. This was not some, like, I didn't, as a little girl, say, hey, I'm going to be a spiritual leader, right? No, no, no.
Right.
It was definitely, it's a calling. It's a craft. It's really supportive as to where we're going in this world. One of the things that I've done in my life is I've become it's called a soul realignment practitioner.
Soul
And
realignment practitioner.
yeah, yeah,
Nice. Okay,
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And what that is I go to the Akashic Records, which is fifth dimension. And think of that as like the library of you. And I can't go there unless you give me permission.
Mhm.
So I can go into the library and I see me like walking into like this futuristic library and key in your data and your book comes, right? And I get to open the book or not. If you don't want me there, I can't. So it's whatever you are ready to hear. And in doing that, I find out as of creation, what's your soul gift? As of creation, what's the first planet you ever lived on? And what are the characteristics you have developed because of that? Very heavy stuff. Those
Mm.
two things tell you and me when you're in alignment, here's how life shows up for you. When you're in disalignment, here's what you can expect to happen.
Can I ask you a question about this alignment real quick?
Yes.
When people are in sadness and fear, why does the programming keep them there when the freedom or your information is readily available? Why do you think that is? That's kind of
So,
a weird question.
yeah, it is a strange question. I'm going to have a little Kabbalic conversation with you. So we were born with two wills. One is free will, and that's called the ego, and the other is primal will, and that is God-driven choice. Okay?
Okay.
And free will, we have free will because our ego's job is to keep us safe. And there are times where, fight or flight, um, those stories you hear where someone becomes miraculously strong and lifts up a car to save someone, that is your ego setting in, your conscious mind, everything else gone. So it has a place. I think of it, your ego as like the worker bees and your conscious mind being the boss. And so the worker bees, your ego, who have free will do the job of keeping you safe from everything. So if everything therefore has to be a problem or something to be afraid of.
Mhm.
So stepping out the door, think about it. Do I want to go out? What's the weather like? Where am I going? Who am I going to meet? What am I going to problems? All of those thoughts actually go through your head. And it's whether or not you pay attention to them or not. Now, primal will is when you follow your instinct, and learning the difference between the two takes consciousness and intention. And it took me a while to figure out the difference.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
I mean, I could watch this obviously forever, but you know how powerful the written word is.
Yes, the written word and the spoken word.
Yes.
I tell people who like to write, who like to journal, that that's the first step towards manifestation. Writing down your thoughts is the first step. Creating a vision board is the first step. So it's bringing it from thought and into a visual reality is actually the
Okay.
first step.
And what are your feelings on vision boards? Do you have them? What do you get out of them? What do people expect to get out of them? I'm familiar with the reticular activating system. Okay, so take me beyond that. What's the value of vision board, and do you recommend it for 100% of people?
No,
Okay.
I don't use a vision board because I'm not
Okay.
visual. I'm audio digital,
Okay.
right? So I have to hear it and I have to physically do something. But visual, no. But so for example, I have a client who is a photographer. Vision board perfect for her. I have another client who is an amazing artist. Vision board perfect, right? So it's what resonates with you.
Okay.
And the problem I have with vision boarding is I've seen people use them for dreams that aren't theirs, the dreams that they're told they should have.
Okay. Well,
You should have a mansion. You should have a sports car. You should be living on the lake. You should be, you should be, you should be. So it's what the media, what culture, what other people say you should have to prove that you're successful, and not what really drives you. So for me, success is for me to be in an RV or actually a sprinter and driving around country and not having a place to live, being free.
right.
That's success.
Now, let me ask you this. Some leaders, teachers, consultants, whatever, when they talk about the vision board, they say create a vision board of all that you want to do, achieve, or have before you die, right?
No.
So what should it be? What would be more productive in your mind as opposed to making it materialistic, if you will?
Again, it depends on the person because we're all individual. Some people work better forward thinking, and here's the advantage of looking out 5 years or 10 years into the future. Because looking back, it's very easy to put yourself there and look back at the things that you would have wanted to have. And when something is that far away, it's actually easier to attain than something that's this far away. Something about our psyche that says, okay, this isn't going to happen for 5 years, but here are the steps I can take towards it. Every client that I have, one of the things I do when I'm working with someone we're working on their business projection, we do a 5-year plan. And I do it on a wall. And we do 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. And we talk about your main business, supporting business, because you want more than one stream of income, right? Your investment stream of income, your health and wellness, your family, your friends. Right? So we talk about all of the aspects of your life. And then we start with the 5 year. What do you want? Go to the 3 years. What will it look like? And then we go to the current year. And I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with someone, I would say not quite a year ago. And she's got a health and wellness center that she didn't have a year ago. She was purchasing the property. And she had her 5-year plan. When she was done, I had her husband go up and plug himself in, right? Where do you see what you're doing? And here we are, not yet a year there. And I looked at her about a month or so ago. I said, you've reached your 5-year goal. She says, holy shit, you're right. I said, time for another one. That's what happens with someone who is that, she's very visual, and she's very creative.
Right.
And she's very, very smart woman. But for some people, that's too far out, so it depends on the personality. So I
Okay.
have a group that I run every once in a while, and it's burning the board. And
Mhm.
we create a vision board that is only 3 months out. We create it three-dimensionally, so we have, twigs and sticks and glue and all kinds of stuff going on. And we talk about what we're building, and then we share what that will look like. Each person shares. And then we talk about releasing expectations, and then we burn the board. Some people can't burn the board, and so then the conversation is, you're either not burning the board because it's that beautiful, or what else are you hanging on to that you're not willing to let go of in your life?
Right.
Right? And it's in the letting go. This is why the 5-year plan works and happens so quickly, because you let go of the expectation that that's not going to happen for 5 years, but that's what I'm working towards. And your subconscious mind goes, oh, we're working towards that. Cool. Open up the RAS. There's that there, there's that there, there's that there. Bam, it's done. Because there's no time and space past the third dimension, fourth, fifth, sixth, no time and
Right.
space.
Right.
So it just happens because you release expectation.
And that really hit me, because of some of the expectations of a future outcome. It sometimes paralyzes us in taking action every day.
Now, I have expectations and attachments.
Okay.
Right? A lot of times when I work with clients, those are the two things we work on. Whether it's, and I'll give you an example of relationships. A gentleman came to me, and this is just one example. And he and his girlfriend, they broke up, and he was, devastated. Devastated. And he had other issues, physical issues, and whatever. So we worked on a lot of things. I sent him to a personal trainer. And we worked on unexpressed expectations, right? And expectations with attachments versus boundaries. So there's a difference between boundaries and expectations. If I expect you to make me happy, it's not going to work.
Right.
Right? Right. So what is it in me that I am lacking that I expect you to fulfill? And you might fulfill it for a while, but you're going to get exhausted. And
Because the
that's
energy exchange isn't equitable? Is that why?
yes and no.
Okay.
Right? If I give you love, and it's funny because I had this conversation with my daughter about 2 weeks ago, and she just couldn't get it. So Tom, if I love you, and I'm going to give you love, and I do love you, by the way, I don't expect you to love me back. If I look for love from you, my RAS gets closed off. I close the blinders, and I'm looking for love for you. And the universe is sending it to me another way. And I'm not seeing it because I'm expecting you. So I'm putting pressure on you to return that.
Mm.
But if I am freely giving my love with no expectations from you, there may be someone else who comes and showers me with love in a different way that might be even more fulfilling than what I was expecting from you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is where relationships have a real hard time, because there's jealousy, that's expectations and attachment,
Mm-hmm.
and control.
Well, I actually had someone in business, a real estate broker that I worked under a number of years ago, and he said frustration begins when expectations are not set or met. And one of the things that we as people don't do is really get down and get granular and say, hey, these are a couple things that will really make me feel better about us. What would be a few things that make you feel better about us? And kind of get them out there, or is that opening a can of worms?
No, that's excellent if you are willing to get to the root,
Okay.
right? So, so what I expect for you is, I want you to give me some of your time. Well, what does it look like for me to give you some of my time? Well, for you to give me some of your time, when we're together, I want your attention. Well, me giving you attention, what does that give you? Well, that gives me a feeling of belonging. Okay, so what you need from me is the feeling of belonging. What does the feeling of belonging give you? Well, the feeling of belonging gives me a feeling of importance, that I matter. Okay, so what you need from me is the feeling of importance. Really? Well, yeah, so a feeling of importance, what does that give you? Well, if I'm important, then I matter, and if I matter, then I'm loved. See how that can elevate. So getting to what is it that you want, really, really, really want. And if what I'm looking for you is love, and the only way I can get that is for you showing up, there's going to be a problem. It really is. Can I find love without that expectation? Is there another way that I can find love? And the answer usually is yes. Right? And then I don't have an expectation from you. Now, there is this thing called love language, and I might do a little TMI here. So there is this thing about love language.
Right.
And I do want to talk about, my ex, Tony. We had a fabulous relationship when it came to that. Where we broke down was a whole other story. And for me, if I can't play, then I lose interest. I have to play. So that means I have to tease, I have to joke with, no, we're not going to make it to the bedroom, buddy. Right? And he was fine with that. And because he used to sing, whatever mommy wants, mommy gets. Right? Right? Because he knew, for him, it was a positive end result.
Right.
For him, his love language was to cook for me, to feed me, to take care of me in that way. So, kitchen's yours. I'll clean up. You can make as much mess as you want. I'll be happy to. You know that, right? And so to know what the love language is and to be able to give and take from that love language is very important in a relationship.
Yeah. It's essential.
Yeah.
And it gets back to the energy exchange. One of the benefits of being in a relationship is that kind of connection, because it's good for the mind, body, and soul. And without it, you're running from a deficit.
Yeah, and I talk about your cup either full or empty. I was working with someone about 2 weeks ago on a relationship, because there's no way I can work with anybody without also getting into relationships, because we are a relational species.
Right.
And in this particular person, one of the things we were talking about was her boyfriend. And so it gets to, we got together, he gives me all of his attention on Friday, and it's awesome, we have a great time, and then Saturday he gets up, gets a phone call, and goes off to do some work for someone and leaves me. Right? And so I said, well, what do you expect? Well, I expect his attention. I said, well, he gave you all of his attention. He gave you all he had. It may be less than what you need, but he gave you all he had. So he needed to go and get his cup filled, because he, doing a job for someone, they say, yay, you did a good job, thank you very much. He feels good, right? He comes home that night and he's all pumped up and ready to go again, right? You're not where he's getting his cup filled. You are not capable of filling it the way that he wants it filled. So you have a choice. You can sit there and complain about it for the rest of your life. You can say, hey, honey, I had a great time yesterday. Thank you very much. You have a job to do. Go ahead and do it. I'm going to head home. I've got some things to do. Love you. See you later. Right? Or you can just sit there and brood about it. So it's up to you how you want to handle it. If you need more, it's not the relationship for you. But I would say, why do you need more?
Right.
Right? And that energy exchange piece, I no longer feel the need to have that kind of energy exchange. Right? And many of my clients who stay with me, right, who don't think they're healed after a breakthrough, get to this point of peace. It's more than love. It's a knowing of yourself so much that they start to see people differently. Right? I have one, his soul realignment. His soul is love. Right? His characteristics support that. Right? And he said to me one time, he says, I feel like maybe I lost love. I said, well, that's impossible because that's your no, that's not going to happen. So let's talk about that. Right? And what he lost was egoic love. The need for expectations to be fulfilled. And what he stepped into was more of a godly love because he cares about people so deeply now that he wants them to find their path. He wants them to grow. He wants them to be better. Right? But he's also learned that that's not his job. It's not my job either, even though I do that for a living.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, the tough thing is the let's say the media, for example, YouTube, social media. It fosters an environment of instant gratification, get it now, compete, and I came to realize maybe it's been about 10 years now that collaboration is the key to unlimited abundance. And what I mean is that if you can come together in some kind of alignment energetically, you're exponentially more powerful. And you got into the primal, that gut instinct. And so my intention on every communication is to go from a place of love, light, and value, adding value, right? And when I have that expectation in the beginning, I find I either attract that person very quickly or they leave very quickly.
So let's talk about that. So a lot of times the pain that people feel is they're hanging on to an energetic vibration that's not theirs. What I mean by that is we're all a snowflake, which means we vibrate. Our frequency is all unique. We all have a frequency that's ours. And when you're in alignment, as you say, you can actually feel. It's almost like the cog pieces come together, right? You're like, there it is, right?
Right.
When you feel that, then any choices you make from that energetic state are perfectly aligned choices for you, right? When you make a choice from egoic, you're hanging on to an energy, a frequency that is not yours. And that's where disalignment and dis-ease starts to begin.
Okay.
Right? Because you're hanging on to what you have been told is the right thing. This is why vision boards, we're getting back to the very beginning of our conversation, for me is problematic because a lot of people will create vision boards based on a dream someone else told them they should be having.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So even they say get all, create this board of everything you want before you die. That person often thinks, well, they must mean houses and cars and trips, because that's what everybody wants.
Right.
Instead of really going into the exercise with things that would move your soul.
Right.
Right?
And things aren't going to move your soul.
Okay. Fair enough. Things are, there's
Right.
the vibration is not there. I got
Right?
it.
Things are
Okay.
not going to move your soul.
Okay.
But you can have fun. So life is a game. I think of it, I'm playing Monopoly, and I'm one of the pieces on the board. And I can run around the board, and it's not a throw of the dice. I choose how the dice are going to land.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so everything that has happened in my life, including us not recording,
Right.
happened because of me, for me. Because that's the conversation that was for you and me and nobody else. This conversation is for others.
So now I've got to tell you, for about 5 minutes, when I realized this, I had angst. And then I thought about you. And I'm like, you know what she's going to say? She's going to say, no big deal. And then I emailed you, and you said, been there, done that. End of conversation.
Yep.
No apologies needed. Well, I apologize, but I knew I didn't necessarily have to, because of the energy exchange, and you have a copy of it. So if you want to share it with me just for us, I would be honored, because of what you just said.
Well, that was at that point in time. Doesn't mean that it's good for this point in time. And
Right.
I'll give you another example. We're programmed to believe that our logical mind is so important, and things have got to make sense. And the problem with that is that we are energy, we are vibration, and that does not yet make sense to us.
Right.
And so I'm now dealing with clients coming to me who are going through what is termed the dark night of the soul. And all that is in such chaos and confusion with what's going on in their life that they can't find a way out. Right? And these are people who do what I do for a living. Right? So they're people like my tools are like I'm meditating, and and I'm grounding, and I'm doing essential oils and blah 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 blah, and it's not working. I'm like, the tools that got you to here are not going to get you to here. And so you're stuck. And you're swirling because your soul is crying to be reborn and come up. And you're stuck in the old stories. And so I created this meditation specifically for the overthinkers.
Well, everybody overthinks to
oh
a
my
certain
goodness. So I was with this,
right.
yes, and this is like for everybody.
Right.
And so I was with a client last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, going through this meditation, and I give examples through it. So we're going to release, the overthinker in you, the analyzer in you, the have to know in you, the blah 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 blah. And I went on and on and on. And we're going to let in, and I went on and on and on. And the meditation goes for maybe 10 minutes. And when we were done, I said, "So how do you feel?" She says, "Pretty amazing, but I'm a little frustrated." And I said, "Well, why is that?" She said, "Well, you went so quickly through the examples, and I couldn't lock on to the examples." I said, "Because you were trying to think about the examples, and this meditation was for you to not think." And she was frustrated because I wouldn't let her think through the process.
And it was it was an exercise for allowing.
Yes.
And she blocked the gift you gave her.
Well, everyone does.
unintentionally.
Right, everybody. But the point is, she became aware of, even in meditation, she's trying to think. She's trying to
Right.
analyze. She's trying to find the reason and the what for. And even in meditation, which means how can you possibly be meditating if you're not letting it go?
Right.
Right. Right.
Now, what would your if you were to tell somebody from another planet and they came down here and they wanted to understand meditation, how would you define that?
If someone came down from another planet, they probably already know what it is.
Perfect. And you're like, no, it's this. We try and explain it, and it's like, no, no, no. You
Yeah,
need to go to the
exactly.
eighth dimension. I'm on the eighth, bro.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right.
call me
You're
when you
not even
pass
at the
level
fifth,
five.
woman.
Right. Cool. You know, something that's truly not defined. It's a being, not a
Right, it's a
thing.
state. And we
Right.
all, people will say, I can't meditate. You meditate all the time. I give the example of when I lived in San Diego, I had a contract in LA. So I would go up on Monday morning early, in 2 hours, 20 minutes. And I would come home Tuesday, no, actually Wednesday morning, before 11. Otherwise, it would be a 6-hour drive because, LA traffic. So I was beating any, like before school gets out, the whole 9 yards, right? And going home, not so much going up, but going home, I'm in the left-hand lane and I'm tooling along and I'm in LA County and I go through Orange County and I'm entering San Diego County and I have no idea how I got there. Because I was in another state, right? And this is where your ego, your subconscious, comes in and says, okay, I'm going to take over right now because she's not here. And I know what to do. Get out of the left-hand lane. I'd be in the right-hand lane. Don't know how I got there, right? But I got there safely, right? And we'll watch out for the traffic. You just go wherever you're going, Gail. Frequently. That's meditation. When you're
Wow.
hypnotized, that's meditation.
Wow. I've been there. I've been there. And one of the things that happens sometimes, like I can give you an example. There's a few businesses and places that I go around my town, my county on a fairly frequent basis. And I know a number of business owners and have a good relationship with them. And, I have a few places where everybody knows my name. And I go there because of that energy exchange. Hey Tom, how you do? Oh, it's great. Yeah, let me get a cheesesteak and this and that, and this market. I'll go get some tea and chat them up for 10 minutes before I leave. When I'm doing that travel, time doesn't exist. Sometimes I go to these different locations all on the same day because I'm recharging my batteries because I'll get love here, right? So it's completely intentional.
Right?
But as I traverse through those, it feels like 5 minutes, and it could be hours.
Right.
And do you recommend any patterns, or let the allowing kind of drive you? And what I mean by that is it okay to set up these happiness points for yourself? And do you think that's productive?
Well, it depends on your soul.
Okay.
Some souls get fed by other people. And those souls, there are two ways that they could do it. One, I call like a vampire. Like they are going to suck my energy dry. I had a roommate that was like that. It was horrible. Horrible. I actually understood. Others understand that energetically they get fed and they receive. So they don't take, they receive,
Right.
right? It's still not getting energy from source, it's getting energy from your environment.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a couple of examples because I've had a few of them. Um, the first one that I dealt with was a dance instructor. He's a dancer,
Mm-hmm.
professional dancer, and teaches.
Right.
So he gets fed by his class accolades and by the crowd cheering. Very positive way, and he works 7 days a week on his body, on his technique, on his choreography. So it is something that he works on to receive, right? It's a very positive way. That's how
Right.
you get fed, um, and then I would have to do a soul realignment for you to see what's going on with you. But if you get fed that way, you get fed that way.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's what the reason I asked, and I'm not sure I asked it well, but I'm like, we're the creators of our own reality, and there are at least a dozen people in my town that I love having in my reality.
Right.
There's a gentleman from Egypt. He and his wife own the Cairo um, market, and they sell Greek, Turkish, and Middle Eastern foods. So now we drink Turkish coffee, which is amazing and very, very granular, and so we've started this new thing where we put the coffee in our Keurig and then we sprinkle sugar in as well, and it brews it together, and it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have these other things. I have Turkish strawberry jam. It's the best strawberry jam I've ever had. But the energy exchange when I'm there, and I'm only buying 10, 20, $50 worth of stuff, but I go every week now that we've formed a friendship.
Right.
And every time I go, his energy's typically, hey, I wish it could be better, and it's okay, and regular customers this, and me, I'm like, well, what actions are you taking? But every time I leave, he's renewed and looks forward to our next meeting, as I do as well.
Right.
Right? Like, I'm going to go see him probably today or tomorrow because I'm out of coffee. And I get this big can for $10, and it's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And they're wonderful people. So that's why sometimes the overthinker says, oh, well, you're feeding yourself with these other people, but I'm pouring into them. So I never feel like it's a trade deficit.
No, it's an energetic exchange,
Mhm.
right? Which is basically what we're here for, right? When I talk about this is our creation, I frequently will talk about you're the writer, you're the director, you are the main character, you are the scene creator, this is your play. And the other people are supporting actors and actresses that you choose to be on the stage with you. So you write them in or write them out. One client I had at one point, so this is going to seem a little bizarre to some people, but this is what happens. He said, Gail, I know that sometimes I know that a person is there, but I don't see them. Right? And I said, well, because they're not allowed on your stage. They're maybe on another stage, and you know that there's a stage down the theater somewhere, but they don't fit into your story, so you don't see them.
And to that point, if I'm in a setting, you're in a setting, and we're not seen, that could be true of those people.
Yeah. So you've seen the basketball and the gorilla video, right? No,
I don't know.
Okay, so this is
Probably.
this is a
Go
fast.
ahead.
So the exercise goes like this. Okay, so there's two teams. One team is in a white shirt, the other team's in a black shirt. The team in the white shirt, count how many times they pass the basketball back and forth. As they do that, the gorilla comes out, stands in front of the whole thing, pounds his chest, and walks off. No one sees the gorilla. Fact. So then the commentator comes back and says, "Did you see the gorilla? Watch again for the gorilla." So now you see the gorilla. Did you see that someone in the white t-shirt went off the stage? As the gorilla comes off, someone else is going off. Now you see that. Did you notice that the curtains changed color? Right? No. Right? So this is, you see what you're focused on. Your brain, so, okay, here's a little NLP. At any given point in time, there are 3 billion, that's with a B, bits of information going on around you. There's the light, there's the air, there's the temperature, there's all kinds of information going on.
Right.
Your conscious mind can bring in 3,750 bits. So how much is not even coming in? That's deleted. Then when it comes in, you start attaching stories to it, so it's distorted. And then in creating the story, you generalize it. That's why I don't call myself a coach, because you hear the word coach and you assume what that means.
Right.
Right, and you've now distorted and generalized me.
And what's a better term?
I call myself a guide.
A guide. Okay.
Yep. For now. Who knows what I'll call myself next week. Then you add your emotional state, your history and your stories, right? And now you create a picture, an image of what you think happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to communicate that, and then that whole process happens with the other person. So if we think we communicate, guess what? There is a lot that's being distorted, generalized, and processed and created in your mind. So the fact that he didn't see certain people is because that's not what he was focused on or he cared about.
Right.
Right? It's not that they weren't there. They weren't part of his reality. He didn't want them in his reality, even though his subconscious knew they were there.
Yeah, or they're extras in his play.
Right.
Just so everywhere I go, you and I, everywhere we go, we're passing people and we have no engagement. If we're fortunate enough, we don't feel their negative energy if they have any. But there are a bunch of extras in our play every day.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Or not. Or not. I mean, have you ever walked down the street and someone said, "Hey, did you..." So here's an example. This happens to me. This is really funny. So my nephew is older than me. Okay. And he and I used to go out. Now he's not now because his wife is jealous of me. Anyway, we'd go out, and that's a whole other story. And he would say, "Gail, do you know there are at least 3 guys who've looked at you and, checking you out?" And I'm like, "No." No, right? Because I'm not on the lookout, if you will.
Yeah.
If I was, I would absolutely see those guys. And I would be doing my own analysis, right? It's okay, I'll try that. And, yes with that.
Right.
Right? So I didn't even see those people existing, never mind that they were checking me out. That's what happens.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Well, I have to tell you 2 things. I was very refreshed after our last meeting together, but today hit me different.
Of course.
It's like, Tom, you know so much. Do less thinking and more allowing. Focus on self-love,
Mm-hmm.
which is always a big one. Let go of attachments. Set better expectations from a place of love and giving and consideration, right? Um, I'm not a big fan of ultimatums or deal makers or deal breakers, but there's got to be some deal makers. Like, hey, this is going to make our deal better. This isn't going to break our deal. So focus on the deal makers.
Interesting, because I don't set any expectations at
Any,
all.
none. Okay.
No, no.
Okay. Don't. Okay. Because that blocks the allowing.
That blocks the allowing, and it
Okay.
means I don't show up fully if my expectation isn't met.
Right, like you give yourself a predisposed programming. It's like, wait a second, we went over these 4 expectations and you did not meet 3 of them this week.
Right.
So that's no gold stars for you. I'll give you half a gold star for the one thing you did accomplish.
Right. I don't
Okay.
care what you did this week.
Okay,
This is,
all right.
I
All
actually
right.
had a conversation with someone he and I are seeing whether or not we can collaborate. We're so different. I don't know. But he's basically talked about setting goals and, basically the checklist. And I said, okay, so that's project management. That is not coaching. He says, well, you need to make people accountable. I say, I don't need to make anyone anything. Right? However,
So is he left-brained?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
accountability, I can't make you accountable, Tom. You either are or you're not. And as a guide, I don't give a shit. That's your problem.
Right. So you're not going to give me homework per se.
I will give you homework. And
Okay.
if you do it, great. If you don't do it, I don't care.
Okay.
This is your personal development.
This is what you signed up for. It's your
Right.
journey. That's you're going to ride it how
Right.
you like.
I will give you some guidance,
Okay,
and
because
you
you're a guy.
choose either you have free will or you have primal will. It's up to you which you want to use.
Yeah.
Right? Your growth is your journey, not mine. And this is one of the issues that I have with coaching, which is why I don't call myself a coach. I can't tell you what your outcome is going to be because it depends on how you invest in yourself.
Wow.
Right? And I can, like, with the meditations and with the conversations and with a shitload of tools. And I don't know what tool I'm going to pull out. I might pull out one of my favorite Six Sigma tools. Six Sigma, I have lots of certifications, both business and blue.
Sure.
My favorite Six Sigma, it's called the 5 Whys. And we just went through them. Tom, why do you want to do this? I want to do it because it makes me happy. Oh, it makes you happy. Why does it make you happy? Oh, because I got a tickle in my belly. Why do you get a tickle in my belly? Right? So the 5 Whys gets deeper and deeper. That's a Six Sigma business tool.
Okay.
Right? But it gets underneath past expectations into the root. And that's the purpose of that tool, is to get to the root, the real thing that you're looking for.
Right.
Right? And it usually takes more than 5 Whys, but you never know.
Well, let's spend the last couple minutes literally just talking about you and your programs. How can someone get connected with you? It's gailkraft.com, right? What's the first step, or if I talk to someone tomorrow and I think that they can benefit from a conversation or guidance from you, how do I set that up?
So I have, I actually connect through social media or through email.
Okay.
So I would suggest that you connect them with me either on Facebook or LinkedIn.
Okay.
Right? If they go to connect with me without saying that they know you, I won't connect with them.
Okay. Well, and again, I'm going to put these links in the description,
Yeah.
but maybe I should put a screening link. Hey, you want to talk to Gail? Let me set the stage.
Or, hey, Gail, I saw you on a conversation with Tom.
Okay.
Then it's like, okay, this is how you
Okay.
network,
All right. All right. I saw the video.
Right.
I clicked the link. Here I am.
Right.
Let's go. Okay.
Right.
So I'll put your scheduling link in there and your website link. Anything else you want me to
That's
put
it.
in
The
there?
scheduling link is perfect because what we'll
Okay.
do is we'll see whether or not we resonate,
Okay.
right? And
So
if
that's
we don't,
first.
that's the first.
Is the alignment with them.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if we need to resonate in order for me to be effective with you. And if we don't, that's not a problem. I know plenty of people in this industry who might resonate with you, and I'll refer you to someone else.
Okay. I like
I've done
that.
that. I've done that. It's like, ooh, you seriously want someone who is, definitely a business coach. I've done that. Not interested anymore. Let me find you a really good business coach. What is it
Right.
that you want to focus on?
Right.
So yeah, I will find someone who is better for you.
Sure. Now, someone may have that mindset. They want some business coaching or consulting, but that doesn't eliminate their underlying problems, challenges. So, do you have a line of questions where basically, hey, are you only worried about your business, or are you interested in your mind, body, and soul? Because
The way
that's
that
what
I
I
got
do.
into mind, body, and soul is I was a business coach.
Right.
I mean, when it comes to
Understood.
business process and procedures, man, you can't get better than me. But
Right.
100% of the time, the clients who came to me for a business planning, the problem was not their business.
Okay.
And that's how I got into, okay, we need to get more into the life coaching, we need to get more into,
Okay.
NLP, we need to get more into, right? Because the barrier, yeah, I could work with your procedures and your processes, those always could be cleaned up, right? There's always room for improvement, always there.
hmm
But 100% of the time. I had a client very early on from Ireland. His first words, I've got my paper up, I'm ready to do my 5-year planning, I've got all my stickies ready to go. And I'm like, so what's going on? And his head goes down, he starts backing up, and he says, my business is getting me down. And I went, well, we're not going to do this then. Let's find out why you're even in this goddamn business.
Right.
Right? So we did a lot of work as to, what is it that you do want? He didn't know. He didn't know.
And so is that another underlying theme for any person, and especially entrepreneurs, tapping into the 5 whys?
Yeah.
Like, why are you even doing real estate? Why are you doing social media marketing? Why are you doing a podcast?
Right.
Right?
Right. And that should be, so there, one of the things I did years ago was I would help entrepreneurs build their business plan. And there were 2 things. Why? Right, well, actually 3 things. Why? Are you doing this? How are you different? Where's your differentiator?
Or unique value proposition.
Right. And if you can't find that, then you're not going to succeed because your competition is already there. They've already, set in. And what's your exit strategy?
Okay, so you should know how you're getting out before you go in, because
Right.
you never have a map if you don't.
Well, and right, how are you going to build your business? So, for example, I know someone who's building a business with the intention of selling it and getting the golden parachute. So their focus is, how do I grow and expand? How do I grow and expand? How do I grow and expand? So that someone sees me and goes, I want that. Different strategy than service. Right?
Right.
Different strategy than sales. Right? So
Right.
when you know what your exit strategy is, I want to leave a legacy for my children. Okay, so now you want to build a really strong structure, right? Versus I want someone to buy me out,
hmm
right? So your approach and your strategy and even the people you hire will be different based on your exit strategy.
Sure.
If you don't know what that is, your exit strategy, like I'm a sole entrepreneur,
Right.
right? For a while I wasn't, and then I pulled back. 2020 came, right? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm just going to play at this game until I die. And so
You're in your happy place.
I'm in my happy place. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'm going to wrap up here, and,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to say to you, are there any favorite quotes that resonate with you or that you've created that really encapsulate or capture the essence of your mission?
Yeah, I would say no favorite quotes, but let go and be free.
Let go and be free.
Yeah, and it's not easy.
Well, Gail, namaste, my friend.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
All right, I'm going to turn off the recording. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So much
You're-
fun.
You are the best.
This is awesome.
It just flows out of you like water.
Tom, because I am this. I didn't, it's not something I